Who's your person?
My person is my grandfather, Bernard Greenblatt. So my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. When he got to America, he came and they went through Ellis Island, and he intended to get the rest of his mother, his father, his other siblings out, and it didn't happen. Even though he had seen like catastrophe, and even though he had lost everything, he was one of that generation who came here very optimistic, very hopeful. My grandfather was proud to be an American, and he yet was incredibly culturally German. And so he was here, and again, proud to be American for what this country gave him, the refuge it provided, and yet he was always very irreconciled. There's an element of this duality, I think, in the Jewish experience. In some ways, my grandfather is almost a metaphor for millennia of Jewish history, where we have lived in countries and in many cases assimilated and achieved, and yet ultimately not actually been accepted. And so it's complicated, as they say.
Jonathan, where's your place?
So my place is Fenway Park.
I'm afraid I have to ask you to leave. I'm sorry.
Fenway Park is really where, as like a young man, I learned about losing. Because when I was a kid, you know, the Red Sox were losers. What I really learned about the Red Sox, albeit unwittingly, unknowingly, and incredibly painfully, was I learned about resilience, and I learned about persistence.
What's your thing?
It's a picture that was taken in the Rose Garden in the summer of 1965. And in the front row of the picture, you can see LBJ, Roy Wilkins, who was the head of the NAACP, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Ben Epstein, the national director of the ADL. It's an amazing, bold proposition 100 years ago that these Jews would fight for themselves, but also with equal fervor fight for others, because they realize this key insight that when we fight for others, we're also fighting for ourselves.
When the ADL sees a profound moral principle that includes all victims of that kind of prejudice, that's when I admire the organization. That's when the organization really soars, I think.
And I wonder why you have political opinions on what the state of Israel should do or should not do.
We don't support candidates. We don't endorse or reject them. We don't support political parties. We don't do that. When we advocate for a two-state solution, when we advocate for more religious pluralism, when we advocate for the rights of all Israelis to be treated as equals, it's because of my burning, passionate commitment to one concept, which is, again, protect the Jewish people.